Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Dr. Bhaskar De. I am an eye specialist. With a wide range of information regarding our eyes, this is my video series, Our Eyes. If you like my videos, please subscribe to my channel. Click on thumbs up button and press bell icon so that you can receive messages for new uploads. The topic for this video is structures of eyeball, or you can say parts of eyeball. With our eyes, we can see everything around us, but we cannot see our eyes in full because most portion of eyeball remains hidden behind. These are two images of skull bone. The left one is from front and the right one is from side. The area of skull where our eye remains suspended is known as orbit. The volume of orbit is about 30 cc and its length is about 40 mm. The orbit is like a pyramid, having a front open space as its base and an apex at the back. The eyeball remains at the front portion of the orbit. On the back side, there are openings for optic nerve and branches of other nerves, blood vessels, and other tissues. Parts of 7 skull bones take part in the formation of orbit. They are frontal, maxillary, zygomatic, sphenoid, palatine, ethmoid, and lacrimal. From front, we cannot see in full even the external portion of eyeball because a large portion of it is covered by eyelids. Eyelids are like front protecting covers of eyeball and protects our eyes in many ways. When we go to sleep, the lids cover our eyes to protect from any harmful effect that might cause damage while we are asleep. When we blink, a thin layer of tear film spreads onto the front portion of our eyes to protect our eyes from dryness. But besides protective function, the eyelids have some cosmetic value as well. Imagine how our face would have looked without eyelids. The front side of the eyelid is covered with a thin skin. The back side is covered with conjunctiva, about which I will talk a little later. The middle portion of lid has fibrous tissue, muscles, blood vessels, nerves, glands, etc. When we look straight ahead, the open area between the upper lid margin and lower lid margin is called palpebral fissure or palpebral aperture. Normally, the height of palpebral fissure is about 12 mm and width is about 30 mm. In some conditions, the height may become more or less. In this video, first we will know about the parts of eyeball that are visible from outside. But before that, let's know about some measurements. Measurements of different parts are not same for all individuals. It depends upon age, body structure, refractive errors, etc. For example, in myopia, needing minus power, the size of eyeball may be little more than normal. The measurements given here are normal average. The front to back diameter of an average eyeball is about 24.5 mm. The horizontal diameter is about 23.5 mm. The vertical diameter 23 mm approximately. The volume is 6.5 cc and weight is about 7 grams. And circumference is about 75 mm. The parts that can be seen from outside without dissecting the eyeball are the ones that I will mention now. Right now, we will know names only. Details will be discussed later. The white outer covering all around is called sclera. The front round transparent portion through which a blue colored part can be seen is called cornea. The junction between sclera and cornea, the white ring around cornea, is known as limbus. Although it is showing in black, for proper demarcation and understanding, it is actually a white ring around cornea. The blue colored round part that can be seen through the transparent cornea is called iris. The black round area at the center of iris is pupil. Although it is looking black, actually it is a round open space or opening through which light rays enter the eyeball. On the back of eyeball, a yellow colored part can be seen. It's called optic nerve. When we look at an eyeball, either from front or from side, we see a large white area all around. This is sclera. The sclera is the outermost layer of the eyeball. It's a white, tough, fibrous tissue layer and protects the inner parts of the eyeball. It's 5/6 of the total area of outer covering. The other 1/6 is transparent cornea in front. Cornea is a round and transparent outer layer. The picture shows how it looks from front and side. It's like a watch glass. Through a watch glass, you can see the dial of a watch. Similarly, through cornea, you can see the colored iris, which is situated behind cornea. Watch dials can be different for different watches. Similarly, iris color may be different for different individuals. So, from front, it may appear that the front round part, that is cornea, is different for different individuals and colored, but actually it is not. Cornea remains transparent for all. It's the color of the iris behind that gives such an impression. Diameter of an adult healthy cornea is about 11.5 millimeter. In some corneal diseases, such as keratitis or corneal ulcer, the cornea may become hazy or opaque. As a result, there can be blurring of vision. For experimental purpose and for ease of understanding, if we take out the iris from an eye, it will look somewhat like this. And without iris, the eye may look like this from front. An enlarged iris may look like this. Iris is like a screen or diaphragm inside the eyeball. As I said earlier, color of iris differs: dark brown, brown, blue, light green, etc. There are two muscles in iris. One makes this pupil small. It's called sphincter pupillae. The other makes the pupil large. It's called dilator pupillae. Iris and pupil jointly prevent entry of unwanted light inside the eye. So, together they form the exposure control system of eye. In normal light, pupil size is between 3 and 4 millimeter. But when we go out or there is more light in the room, the pupil becomes small. At night and when there is less light around, the pupil becomes large. In some eye conditions and eye drops, pupil may become small. This is called miosis. In some other eye conditions and eye drops, the pupil may become large. This is called mydriasis. From outside, another membrane can be seen that covers the front of the eyeball. In the diagram, it has been shown in red color. This is called conjunctiva. It's a glistening, semi-transparent membrane outside the eyeball. It starts at the limbus or corneoscleral junction, covers the front part of the sclera, turns round and covers the back surface of the eyelids. It contains many blood vessels that may dilate when there is some inflammation of conjunctiva. As a result, the eye may appear red. This is known as conjunctival congestion. On the back of the eye, a long cord-like structure can be seen. This is optic nerve. This nerve is the second cranial nerve of the 12 cranial nerves. This nerve carries visual information or signal from retina towards the back side of the brain called visual cortex. The visual cortex is situated in occipital cortex or the back portion of the brain. The total length of optic nerve is between 48 to 50 millimeter. It starts at the back of the eyeball, passes through the orbit, through the optic foramina, comes out of the orbit and ends at optic chiasma, which is a part of the visual pathways of brain. If optic nerve is damaged due to some disease or injury, adequate amount of visual information will not reach the visual cortex. As a result, there can be loss of vision. When we look at someone's eyes, without eyelids, the eyes may appear like this. We move our eyes in different directions, such as looking up, down, right side, left side, right and up, left and up, right and down, left and down. All these eye movements are possible because of 6 muscles that are attached to the eyeball. These muscles are called extraocular muscles and they control different eye movements. The muscles are superior rectus, inferior rectus, lateral rectus on the side of the ear, medial rectus on the side of the nose, and obliquely attached superior oblique and inferior oblique. These muscles are controlled by different nerves. Dysfunction of muscles and nerves may cause squint. If there is squint, there can be diplopia or double vision. So far, we have learned the following parts: orbit, eyelids and palpebral fissure, conjunctiva, sclera, cornea, iris, pupil, optic nerve, extraocular muscles, and measurements of different parts. Next, we will learn the parts that can be seen only after dissecting or cutting the eyeball. For seeing the structures of eyeball that cannot be seen from outside, we have to look at the 2 sections of eyeball. On the left is midline section of an eyeball from front to back. On the right is a midline section from side. The parts that we already know are labeled in black. The ones we will know now will be labeled in red. Now we know the names only. Details of each part will be mentioned later. The middle layer of the eyeball, drawn in red, is choroid. The innermost or the third layer from outside, drawn in yellow, is retina. The vertically oval structure that can be seen in side section is lens, and the large space at the middle of both sections is vitreous cavity. Choroid. Choroid is the middle layer between sclera and retina. It contains mainly blood vessels and pigments and supplies nutrition to the adjoining tissues. Front extension of choroid is ciliary body, and front extension of ciliary body is iris, which we already know. All the 3 parts together, that is choroid plus ciliary body plus iris, is known as uveal tract. Then comes retina. Retina is the innermost layer or third layer from outside inwards. Retina is a light sensitive layer. It contains mainly nerve fibers, specialized cells such as rods and cones and ganglion cells that are essential for visual process, blood vessels, pigments, etc. At the back, there is an area of retina, a little darker and more sensitive area than peripheral retina. The area is called macula. At the center of macula, there is a pit or depression known as fovea. Fovea is the most sensitive area of retina. In diseases of retina, the vision may reduce. The crystalline lens. The crystalline lens, commonly known as lens, is a round, colorless, transparent, biconvex structure inside the eyeball. Its diameter is about 10 mm and thickness 5 mm. It's the main refracting medium of eyeball and remains suspended with suspensory ligaments or zonules that are attached to ciliary body. The lens also serves as the autofocus mechanism of eyeball. In old age and some other eye conditions, the normally transparent lens may become opaque, and as a result, there can be blurring of vision or impairment of vision. If we carefully look at the side section of the eyeball, we will be able to see that there are 3 spaces or chambers inside the eyeball. At the front is anterior chamber, then the small posterior chamber at the middle, and a large space behind called vitreous chamber or vitreous cavity. These chambers or spaces inside the eye are not empty but filled with substances. Anterior chamber is bounded in front by the back of cornea and behind by front of iris and middle part of front surface of lens, the pupil remaining at the center. It contains a transparent colorless watery fluid called aqueous humor. The posterior chamber is a narrow space bounded in front by back of iris and behind by front surface of lens and suspensory ligaments. It also contains aqueous humor. The vitreous chamber is bounded in front by back surface of lens and suspensory ligaments and in other areas by retina. It's filled up with a transparent, colorless, jelly-like material called vitreous humor. In this part, we came to know about choroid, the middle vascular layer, retina, the innermost and light-sensitive layer, crystalline lens, and different chambers or spaces inside the eye, anterior chamber, posterior chamber, vitreous chamber, and contents of different chambers. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like it, please subscribe to my channel, click thumbs up and bell icon and share this video.